So in that sense, I can experience myself ongoing as a moment-by-moment awareness. And it might be possible to stabilize that. It might. I personally have my doubts. I think it's an asymptote. I think you look at the most enlightened masters, and if you sit down and have a conversation with them, they say, yeah, I'm closer and closer to that, but the closer I get to it, the more I realize beyond it. When I read the experiences of enlightenment, like people are describing it, well, partially it's because they're putting it into language, and that's necessarily going to distort it. And they claim and they insist that the experience was unmediated. My experiences of what I consider to be Satori, against what do I judge it? Right? But what I consider to be Satori are experiences of what I think it's fair to say is no mind. And it has qualities.
No content.
Yeah, or there might even be content, but there just isn't the mind commenting on it. There's just what is. Right. And I agree that is a naturally blissful state. It's ecstatic, and the longer I have it, the more
it doesn't solve anything.
It doesn't solve anything. It's enlightenment's the ultimate con game. And that experience still has a quality to it, and that quality is different. Yes. Based on the state that I'm in, based on what it took me to get there.
And this is what Almas is saying.
That's what I think, because that's my experience, and I don't believe that there's a...
This is where I started to rethink my thinking, right, about my experience with Satori, which was, it started where I noticed that I wasn't noticing that when I went to go feel my foot, a picture in my mind was in my foot, and that was somehow mediating my experience of the foot. And then that started to become more and more translucent, and at a certain point it went away. I was experiencing my body not mediated through a body image. It was the first experience of my body, and what I discovered is that there was no body. There was an unfolding, inseparable from all the other unfoldings, right? But if that is seeing without a frame, how come I also didn't see radio waves? How come I also didn't see... You know what I'm saying?
So there's a concept in epistemology that speaks to this. It's called non-diaphanous perception.
I gotta write that down.
Yeah, non-diaphanous perception. So diaphanous as in diaphany, D-I-A-N. P-H-O-N-O-U-S. Non-diaphanous awareness or perception. Now, non-diaphanous perception means essentially unmediated.
Right, immediate.
Right. Non-mediated means not through any diaphany. Like if you think of like a butterfly's wings or like a clear...
Is that possible though?
Well, so here's the thing. Theoretically, if you say not, okay, visual, if it's visual, that's disqualified because that's a filter. That's a diaphany. Okay, auditory, that doesn't count because that's through the auditory channel. Physical, nope, that's neurology, so that doesn't count. Smell, nope, that doesn't count. Taste, no, that doesn't count. So when you take all of those away, then you get non-diaphanous awareness. Now what Kant said is we never get non-diaphanous awareness of reality. All of our awareness of reality, all of our awareness experience is mediated. Therefore, we never get to reality.
Yeah.
Right? So what he did was he set up non-diaphanous awareness as the litmus test for reality, for direct experience of reality. He took the impossible and made it the standard. And therefore, all experience is therefore apparent. It's all non-real. Isn't that amazing? It's like the Christian.
Right.
The Christian mystics or the Christian teachers who say anything that you want, right, is from you. And you're sinful.
Yeah.
So it's by that nature bad.
Right.
It's only that which comes from God that's good.
Yeah.
Therefore, you need to get yourself out of the way and allow God to exist. But how do you get yourself out of the way and allow God to exist? Well, we don't know. But you're supposed to. And therefore, all human beings are bad because everything we do is self-generated. It's all for us, and that, by its nature, is evil.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the complete inversion, right?
Yeah.
This is like you were talking about with Ron in the anatomy of the mind conversation, or it's like, okay, what's reality? Reality is agreement, and what's non-reality? Experience.
Because
it's reversed. Yeah. What Nietzsche said, is like, what is the true world that these philosophers keep talking about? It's the negation of the only world we have.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we call that true, and therefore take the world that actually exists and degrade it to something less than, in contrast to the thing that doesn't exist. By any standard of existence, it doesn't exist. And we judge reality by non-reality and find reality to be lacking.
Yes.
Right? Take that and move it into transformation. If we say that personal development is, there's something that I want, I don't have it. What can I do to get it? Personal development. Or, in reverse, there's something I don't want, but I have. How do I get rid of it? Personal development. Transformation. There's something I want that I don't have. Make not having it good. Make it right that I don't have it. Freedom. Now I can work towards it or not work towards it. Right? There's something I don't have that I want.
Appreciation.
Right?
Then
make it okay that I don't have it.
Appreciation, then integrity.
Yeah. Make sure it's to be okay with what is. To say that which is
Yes.
is good.
Yes.
And that which I want is less than reality.
Yes.
Right? You could say that's the transformational shift. And it has its uses because it gives freedom. But in that freedom, what do? Well, then you create what you want, right? It's like transformation is the access to personal development.
Yeah.
It's worthless on its own because then you just say yes to what is, and 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 yes to what is. And what would stop you from just starting?
So transformation and development. Oh, interesting distinction. Okay.
Transformation is access to development, but development is where all the work happens. This is, you could say, transformation and translation. If transformation is the moving up of levels, it's the shift of perspective into a new
translation.
awareness. Translation is the actual work of making sense of that level.
And then
it's like once you get the new paradigm, you have to run all the experiments and learn.
Is development distinct from translation, or is it part of translation?
So in the way I'm kind of, because we're just putting words on concepts. Transformation is the realization that life is perfect as it is and as it isn't. And the stance of possibility is the stand that it's okay as it is and as it isn't.
Right.
Right? That's the opening.
That's the opening.
Right? That's the opening. Transformation is the opening. And then personal development is, and here's something I want to create.
That's totally fucking what happens. Go on the map. And I just got, this is the thing, the question that I keep asking them is, because I'm fascinated by this. Look, all I did was I outlined your prison cell, and you're seeing you're in prison, and you feel ecstatic. How come you feel, I just told you you're in prison. And what they say is like, oh, because I'm not anymore. Oh, okay. Now that you're not in prison, what do you see? So that's the transformational moment.
That's the transformational.
And then intrinsic in that, and I realize this is my own personal bent into this thing, is I think that fucking thing's fucking beautiful. Like that thing is just those.